Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers.
I can't tell you how excited I am to be on right now. It's been a couple of weeks of excitement, getting prepared, and I've done a lot of things in my life, but this has got to be close to the top.
Thank you, Reader's Magnet, and thank you, John, for putting this forth and taking the chance on us authors in presenting this out to the world.
I've enjoyed this immensely, Joanne.
Ellie, so have I. Thank you for who you are, and thank you, Reader's Magnet. You all are beautiful, and you've worked so very hard, and we are blessed.
We are.
I thank everybody that's involved with this process, because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers. We thank Reader's Magnet and everybody that's involved. I love Reader's Magnet. They say, we share your stories with the world.
Hi everybody. My name is Lynda Daniele, and I'm working with Reader's Magnet on the Storytellers Festival. I really love Reader's Magnet, and they've been so wonderful to me as an author. The difference between Reader's Magnet and other companies is that they work with the authors, and this is a chance for us to be able to talk about how we write, where our stories came from, and to delve into all of those kinds of things, which doesn't always happen in other arenas. So I'm really happy to be involved, and I'm really happy to be here with you. I have written over the last 6 or 7 years, 2 little books, and they're children's books, but I think that they also will help parents as well. And I think they're kind of like could be good bedtime stories for children. And I think that adults will also enjoy them as well. So this is one of the first book that I wrote. It's called Grandpa Nick's Bump. And it's about my husband who the children across the street from us came over one day. They were all very little, like 5 and under. They all came over, all 4 of them, the 4 children, we babysit 4, came over and asked my husband to be their grandfather when they realized that they didn't have one. So, and he said, of course, I would love to be your grandfather. It's that story, all the different silly things that they did together over the course of really about 4 or 5 months. Because unfortunately, after about 4 or 5 months, my husband passed away from meningioma. And it's that story of dealing with loss, because they really loved him very much, and he loved them very much. And also the silliness and the happiness that Grandpa Nick brought to the children. So this is the first book that I did. This was originally published with Christian Faith Publishing, and I'm in the process of republishing with Reader's Magnet. So hopefully I'll have that soon, maybe in the next couple of months. But this is out, on Barnes and Noble and Amazon and all the different book places that you can get. You can order these with no problem. And also on my website, which is my little fancy way of saying this is LyndaDanieleBooks.com. Okay. And then I also have a second little book that I wrote, and this is called Grandpa Nick the Conductor. And this is also the Grandpa Nick character. And my husband and my son were trolley operators at a local trolley museum here in Connecticut, which isn't too far from where I live. And so this is a story about something special happening at the trolley museum and the trolley barn. And some of this is based on truth. Some of it is made up. The 4 children that are in Grandpa Nick's bump are also in this story, but that really didn't happen. They really weren't in the actual story that happened at the trolley barn. But sometimes as an author, you can rework truth a little bit, and that's exactly what I did in this story. I'm also in the process of writing another little story called The Adventures of Grandpa Nick and the Model A. And a Model A is an old car. We do have a Model A car, and it is about 90 years old, 1931. And it's the adventures that we have had as a family. And I started writing about, my husband passed away almost 11 years ago. And for about 3 years or so, I just wasn't doing very well. And finally, I joined my local YMCA here in Westfield, Massachusetts. And when I was working with them, I took a writing class. And slowly but surely, I was able to get my feelings and my thoughts about the loss of my husband into this story about Grandpa Nick's bump. The bump refers to a huge tumor that he had on his head. It was really massive. And we never called it. We never called it a tumor. We only called it a bump. And so that's how I started writing. When I was in high school and when I was little, I used to write as well. And I've always loved writing. My family wrote little stories as well as I was growing up. I had an uncle who was a really good writer as well. And we just had a good time with stories, and reading was a very big thing in my family. And so parts of my family, my Italian grandmother could read and write in Italian, but she couldn't read and write in English. And so I had that. And I also had relatives who were, one of my relatives was an elocution teacher. And I don't know if everybody even remembers what the word elocution means, but it's the art of public speaking. And my great-grandmother did that. So I had, someone that had trouble with English and somebody who had really mastered it in my family as examples of, kind of language prep kind of thing. So, and the style that I have in writing, I believe, is basically writing what I know. These stories are not like made up. They're real people. They're real people. But I have, like I say in The Conductor, I have enhanced it a little bit. So what I thought I would do today is maybe read a little bit of Grandpa Nick's bump and show you some of the pictures that are in here. This is a picture of the children with Grandpa Nick. Let's see if I can get this right. Okay, now this was a while ago because 2 of the children are now in college, and the other 2 are in high school. So, the story is a long time in coming. But that's what they look like. And this is a real picture of Grandpa Nick. And you can see that he was a pretty happy person. He always had that big smile. And that's why when, in this case, Christian Faith Publishing did his caricature, I wanted that big smile there too. Okay, so I thought maybe I would read some of this to you. And on the pages, I also have the Holy Spirit. And it says here, the Holy Spirit is always with us. You can find him throughout the book. And that means you look for a little dove, a little white dove. which represents, in my faith tradition, which is Catholic, I would, the Holy Spirit is many, many times represented as a little white dove. So, like in this first page where Grandpa Nick is being very silly, the little dove is here. Whoops, it's right there. As Joseph is going in the trash can, it was a clean trash can. So throughout the book, they have to look for the little white dove, the Holy Spirit. And so that part is kind of fun. There is a sad page where Grandpa Nick does pass away, but it also is a true story, and that happens in real life. I have a little chat here. Question. Hi, Lynda. What year was the setting of Grandpa Nick and Nick the conductor? I would say probably like 2010, 2009, 2010, around there. And the children are, two of them are in college now. Yes. So it is, it's a long, this story is a long time in coming. But it was very good for me to be able to write. It helped me to deal with the loss of my husband. And even now, when I look back on it, I think that I've grown through this whole process, not only hopefully as a writer, but also I think that I've been able to settle some things by writing. And I've done that many times throughout my life. I kept a poetry journal, when I was in high school and college and things. And so that really does help. So I can read a little bit of the story here for you. And if you would like to type in the chat, please feel free to do that. Okay, I would love to hear from people. All right. So Joseph was upside down over the trash can with Grandpa Nick holding him by his feet. Do you want to go in? This is a fun story to read to children, I think. No, squealed gentle Joseph. Sure enough, in he went, laughing and wiggling all around. He wiggled so much that the trash can fell over, and out he came with a, "Do it again, Grandpa," jump for joy. And there's the little Holy Spirit, white dove, there right on the bottom by the trash can. Grandpa Nick was a fix-it Nick. He fixed all the broken knickknacks and gobbledygooks around. Sean's pedal needed fixing on his tricycle, and when it got fixed, it was a Nick's best fix. There you go. Grandpa Nick is fixing that tricycle. He could fix anything. He was an engineer, and anything with metal, he could fix. Margaret was a quiet one with watching eyes. She watched as Grandpa Nick drew his hearts, trains, and bridges with her. After that was done, he put her in a tree and followed that with, "Come and get me," and "Hee hee hee." Watching Margaret climb down and ran around that tree, and Grandpa Nick caught her and tickled her with glee. So there she is running, and here's the bridges and trains. Oops. Hopefully I'm getting the pictures right for you here. I always struggle with that. And there they are running. The oldest one was Emma, who was ladylike and prim. During breakfast, she would complain that milk was filled up to the brim. So Grandpa Nick would get a cloth and mop up table spills, with Sean on the other side using markers on the sills. There's Sean making a mess. And the Holy Spirit dove is in the window. And also in one of the pictures. Emma, the listener, loved stories and poked her head up to hear them. She fell off the couch laughing, and then she would repeat them. There they are. And she falls right off that couch. And here's some big questions that the children have. What a loony time Grandpa Nick would sure provide, until one day they noticed there was a head bump on the side. Aside his head, a little bump that wasn't there before, over time began to grow too big. And what was it growing for? And in this little picture of Grandpa Nick, you can see there's something going on his head. He always had a pencil in his ear. That's an engineer thing, I think. And here's some cards that the children drew for him. The gift of the children was to grow Grandpa Nick's grins so he could smile at the side bump. So silly games and laughter were their presents of the day, and Grandpa Nick would smile and take them out to play. I'm glad it says, message from Fairgrower. This is such a feel-good book. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad. No complaining did he do about that side bump there, but the children noticed Grandpa Nick saying a little prayer. Keep my children happy, Lord, wherever they may go, and I will wink from time to time and play out in the snow. And here he is praying. And the little Holy Spirit dove is there. He took the bus to Boston to get the bump removed. He was gone a long time, and people said, he's doing well, and they were happy because they thought he was becoming well. And there's that bus to Boston, which is true, Route 90. In Boston, there are a lot of hospitals, and we were at Brigham and Women's and Dana-Farber. The two hospitals got their doctors together to help Nick. So this is the sad page. And you know, in everybody's life, we have good pages in our life, and we have sad pages in our life. It's just the way it goes here. One day, as the children got off the school bus, their mom and dad were there to greet them with sad faces through and through. They told Joseph, Sean, Margaret, and Emma that Grandpa Nick had died. They told him he was happy with Jesus at his side. They cried when they had heard it, and that's okay to cry. We'll miss him very much, their parents did reply. And here's the heaven castle, the heavenly castle. And look, that Holy Spirit dove is right there, the little bird. In heaven, there's a mansion for everyone, Jesus said. And Grandpa Nick's was a big rainbow castle, Sonny Sean had said. They all sat down to draw every rainbow they could draw with a Grandpa Nick and me card that was precious and inspired. So even though that day was hard and everyone was sad, we know that Grandpa Nick is with Jesus and his dad. No tears or sadness are allowed in heaven, don't you see? As Grandpa Nick tastes snowflakes and giggles and hee-hees. So here's Grandpa Nick and Jesus and God the Father and the little Holy Spirit dove. And here's Joseph coming out of the trash can. All wide-eyed, right? All wide-eyed. And then there's just a little page here about the different things that I've done. So that really is the Grandpa Nick Bump story. And if you have anything that you would like to ask or whatever, please do that. It says, message from Fairgoer. This book is really great for children and for parents. I'm hoping that when people either hear this or read it for themselves, that I tried to write it on adult level and a children's level, so that an adult might get something a little bit different out of it than a child would get. But the mansions, the castle, and the children really did, when they found out that Grandpa Nick had passed away, they really did sit down and they drew 15 rainbows. And that's one of the reasons I have my granddaughter's, whoops, right there, my granddaughter's rainbow here on the wall. And she did this one the other day. She's only 5. She did this one the other day, which I have no idea what it is, but it's cute as a button, so I love it. That is Grandpa Nick's bump, and it took me probably maybe 5 years or so to actually finish the story to where I wanted to actually try to have it published. And of course, I wanted it published so that I could someday give it to my granddaughter when she was a little older and she could appreciate that it's kind of family history, because Grandpa Nick's bump is true. This is a true story. Whereas the other, the conductor, as I said before, is not quite all completely true. And I can show you, I've got a little bit of time left here. And please feel free again to type into the chat if you would like to say anything, or if you liked it, if you don't like it, whatever. That would be really good. And this is the trolley barn in my second book. And Reader's Magnet, I think, did a beautiful job in doing the artwork the way I really wanted them to do it. I did my little stick figure drawings, and then they did the real artwork. And what was cool is the writing is in, where am I? Over here, in, like, the old silent movies. They did all the writing in the book is in, like, the old silent movie print, with the black background and the white printing. So I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I'm very, very pleased with the way this turned out. And here are some pictures of my husband and my son. Did I get a little closer? In their little trolley uniforms. And this is, whoops, I've got to get this with the 3 of us there. This is my husband and son and I. When we were doing a little fair in our local town here. So we're one of the towns, actually, a couple miles away from here. So that is another one that I can show you during the course of the festival as well. I have some more chat here. It says, question from a fairgoer. How did you come up with the conductor story? Was it planned, or did it just occur to you that you want a sequel to Grandpa Nick's Bump? I wanted to continue writing. I felt really, really strongly about keeping the story alive of Grandpa Nick. And we have many memories of driving the trolley. Many, family occasions where we would go to the trolley museum, and Nick and Anthony, as Anthony got older, he also got his trolley license as well. They both, have that. And as we go along in the fair, I will be able to, thank you, Angelo. I would love to be writing some more stories. I'm hoping to be able to do that. But I do want to do a sequel, and I'm hoping that this will be like a little series as I go along, so we only have about 5 minutes, maybe 4 minutes left. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to type in the chat? I'm hoping to be able to go through some of the different things in a trolley with this as well during the course of the fair. The other thing I wanted to tell you is that right after me, at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, there's a roundtable talk, and the topic is the first book you remember reading. And I can answer that for myself. The first book that I actually finished You know, I didn't always finish my books. But the first book that I actually finished was The Secret Garden. I think I read that 15 times. I just absolutely loved that book. That was one of my favorite ones. And all the little kid, the golden books and things like that. But the first book that I actually finished, I'm dyslexic, by the way. So reading, I love reading, and reading is very important in my family, but it you know, writing and reading uh, doesn't always come easy, and because I am dyslexic. And so I always say to people that may be listening that are dyslexic, don't use that as an excuse not to go ahead and pursue your dreams. If you want to be a writer, you can still do it, because I did it, and I continue to try. And it says, message from Fairgoer. We are very excited to hear more stories from you. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad. I'm going to try to keep up with some of this. I really, really enjoy it. And I really enjoy doing these broadcasts with you. And I love hearing from you as well. So feel free to go to my booth and type in any questions, and I'll try to keep up with that during the course of the fair. I'm just really excited about that. And I did want to say that we have, I will be here tomorrow at 4:30, which tomorrow is Tuesday. I'll be here Wednesday at 4:30. I will not be here on the 27th. I will be here on the 28th at 4:30. And on Saturday, the 29th at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, I'll be the author of the hour. And so I'm not going to do a 4:30 broadcast that day. I'm not on the 30th or the 31st, but on November 1st, I will be here at 4:30. November 2nd, yes. November 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. And the 6th is the last day. So, but I wanted to just thank you. And please, if you have the time, check out the roundtable talk at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, the first book you remember reading. Take care and have a wonderful evening. And I look forward to talking to you again. Love you. Bye-bye.